Hello and welcome back to my hardcore Minecraft world, where last episode we built these absolutely magical cliffs, and today we're building a animated redstone waterfall to go alongside them. Now today's episode is going to be a little bit of a shorter one because I am leaving for vacation in 2 days, so we better go ahead and get to it. Now before we actually go ahead and get started with today's waterfall, I really want to go ahead and take a second just to soak up how beautiful these cliffs truly are. I still cannot believe how good and magical these all look from the ground, and I cannot wait to add that waterfall. However, before we do that, in between episodes, I have gone ahead and worked on the path that's going to take you to and from the fishing village from on top of the cliff. So we can now go ahead and walk all the way up this path. I haven't, as you can tell, I have not done the cliffs on this side of the path yet, but we'll get to those eventually. Not really a major concern at the moment. The path does turn along the cliff, as you can tell, at which point it continues up along the back side, looking absolutely wonderful. If we go ahead and free cam and just get a little bit farther away, you can get a bit more of a overall view with this. So what I'm going to have to do is with this path, we're going to have to obviously take this section of cliff right here and build it in to outline the path. I have not yet decided if this is going to go all the way up along this edge here, or if it's just going to come up to the level that the path is at. I got a few decisions to make with that. And then, of course, we're going to have to put some cliffs along this edge of the path as it eases up into the surface level, just to make it look presentable. So there's of course a lot more work that needs to be done with this, but I'm very happy to finally have a path. Now we just have to actually connect it up to the existing path. But today's project is of course the waterfall. So first of all, we have to decide where we're placing the waterfall, and as you can tell by me zooming in over here, it's going right here in this little crevice in our cliffside. Now, to be just a little bit more specific, we're going to be putting the cliff right over here on these blocks here. It's going to be going on these 3 blocks right here. So I'm going to real quickly go ahead and remove this entire section of cliffside, those 3 blocks, along with a little bit more because we are going to need a bit of extra room for the redstone. And then we can go ahead and discuss the resources. And with that, all of a sudden, that little section is completely finished. So now it's time to go ahead and talk about resources needed to build this here waterfall, which I've got all right here in my inventory. So now it is officially time to go ahead and start constructing this waterfall. I am so excited for this. I have such big hopes. I really, really hope this ends up working out well. All right, so I don't have the entire waterfall finished, obviously, but I have a teeny tiny sliver of what it's going to be once it's completed. So I just want to show you guys how this is going to work. So the way this works is we've got this back layer of blocks here. We have glass panes in the center down here. And then we have glass panes on these side sections here with sticky pistons behind them. Now, the way this waterfall is going to work, or the animation behind it at least, is at the very top, we're going to have a clock that's going to be activating observer chains on both sides of this waterfall. And once it's activated, let me go ahead and position my camera. When activated, as you can see, the glass panes pop out and immediately go back in. So if you imagine this on a clock constantly going on both sides at the exact same time, it's going to kind of have a flowing water effect, which I'm very excited for, and it looks really good in my testing, so hopefully it works out well here. Now we just have to do a little bit more work to actually get this thing done. And of course, because I didn't necessarily think about this waterfall idea while building the cliff, we're going to have to do a little bit of modifications to the terrain, but these are all small little things and are 100% worth it because in the end, this is going to be absolutely beautiful. All right, let me get back to work. All right, a little bit while later, I have done another decently sized section of this thing, so it's starting to really look like a waterfall here. I set up this little mess back here, so I should be able to activate both sides from a distance here. Yeah, so you can kind of get the idea. It would be going a bit faster than this. Yeah, it would be on a clock, but you're kind of getting the idea. This is more or less what it would look like. It'd be a little bit slower than that. Of course, with an actual clock, I'd be able to play with the timings, but this is really starting to look cool. You got the idea of what the animation's going to look like. I'm so excited. All right, let me go ahead and get the final... Whoop. Let me go ahead and get this final section of the waterfall in, and then we can go ahead and together set up the timer and hopefully have a fully functional animated waterfall. I am so excited. There it is, everybody. The waterfall is officially completed. Now, of course, the redstone isn't actually set up behind it, and there's not really much of a river, but I've gone ahead and set up a little tiny section of what the river might look like. I don't want to make like an actual river with water. I really, really want to do this stained glass river effect. I'm not really sure how to do this, never done it before, so this tiny little bit that I have here might not look that good. Don't worry, I will, of course, research how to really make this stuff look good before I do the full thing. But we're not building a river today. We're building a waterfall. And the waterfall looks absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, there's a few more things that we need to do, one of which being getting this timer to work. Now, if you want to actually see the entire thing function, we can go ahead and break this moss block real quick. And you can see that effect running down the entire waterfall. Now, imagine that going all the time very quickly. It's going to look absolutely fantastic. So, what I need to do now is set up a clock. So let me go ahead and collect those resources real quick, and we can build the redstone clock that is going to run this entire waterfall. All right, now this clock is incredibly simple. It's just a little repeater redstone clock here, and you'll flick the lever and it will go. And so how this is going to work is we're going to put a piston right here, and when we hit this, it's going to move. So I'm really hoping that's enough. Like I said, we can adjust the speeds if we need to, but I think that works pretty well. Yeah, that does work pretty well. We can see what it looks like if we speed it up oh, actually, we can't speed it up anymore. That's as fast as it can go. For some reason on Java, if you have one of these repeater redstone clocks, on the quickest repeater possibility, it burns out. You see, that's not a thing on Bedrock, but apparently that is a issue over here on Java. Not really sure why, but because of that, this is the fastest it can go, but I don't think it really needs to be any quicker. All right, the waterfall is looking absolutely magical. Wow, does that look good? Now there's one final thing that we need to do, and that is add the ploof of steam, or water vapor, or whatever word you want to use for it. That's going to be coming off of, oh my god, that's loud. That's going to be coming up from the bottom here. So I have a few resources set aside for this. Let me go grab them real quick. All right, I got my white candles. I got my cobwebs. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, let's stop this actually. I cannot listen to that. That is way too loud. It's beautiful to look at, but when you're standing right next to it, not so pleasant anymore. Okay, so here is my wonderful plan. We're just gonna put some cobwebs about down here on these lower layers. Gonna mix in some candles here and there, just to give a little bit of a steamy effect. And when I did this in my testing, it looked pretty good. So I'm hoping this is still gonna look pretty good. So let's see, how does that look? Yeah, that's nice. Of course, it needs to be a little bit bigger, so we're gonna have to add a little bit here and a little bit there. Just add a little bit more here and there, make it a bit more poofy, if you will. Put another cobweb there. Some candles right here. All right, so now it's looking a little bit more full. We can put another cobweb up there, add another one here, I think. Make sure that we have a little bit more candles, just kind of up in the, uh-oh. And then I think to finish it off, you could get one candle up here. See, I like that. This cobweb is not fitting, so remove that. But otherwise, I think this looks pretty good. So now if we go turn the redstone back on and take a step back, let the whole system get going, we now have a fully functional animated waterfall. Now, I have seen that people will do the invisible arrows and bubble columns at the bottom of this. While I do like that idea, it's not that great in my opinion because the particles just kind of disappear once you're like 32 blocks away, I think it is. So unless you're standing right next to it, you can't even see the particles. And considering this thing's going to be viewed from a distance mainly, like out here and on that boat, I think this is pretty perfect what we've set up. From all the way out here, you can't really see much of the animation, which I was a little concerned of, but again, generally, the ideal viewing for this waterfall is going to be from within the fishing village along these edges here. So while you're walking through here, you will see that animation. You can really tell that it's supposed to be flowing water, and it looks like flowing water actually. And you got the steam, and it just looks so good. This is the ideal viewing spot from this village, and looking at it from this village, it looks exactly like what I wanted to capture, so I'm incredibly pleased with this outcome. Yeah, looking fantastic. And yeah, those chests are all still there from episode 3. I'm lazy, okay? I didn't want to move them. I still have nowhere to put them. I know someone's gonna mention it in the comments. Just don't, okay? Please don't. Just let's ignore that mess. We'll get to it eventually. Hopefully before 2,000 days. Speaking of which, we are officially on day 1200. So yeah, we're 200 days into our very next 1,000 days, and we already have some insane progress. So seriously, thank you all so much for joining me this episode. I know it was a bit of a short one, but again, I do have a vacation that I'm leaving for tomorrow, so didn't have the most time to work on this video, but that's all right because that's absolutely beautiful. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!